I'll read it off.
Study your laws of the universe. The law of attraction, the law of abundance, the law of equivalent exchange. Study your laws, the laws of cause and effect, the karmic cycle. Study your laws. Dwell into your mind, meditate. Understand that you can alter your realms by your train of thought. The minute you slow down your thought, you're able to leave your body through astral projection. You're only enslaved if you can't control your mind. So while you can and while you don't have the whole world against you, or you don't have a lot of worries, worry on freeing your mind from this realm. When you can free your mind from this realm, everything is but a thought. And if you can't free your mind, then you're a slave to this realm.
The law of dissonance. It says that you are going to experience mental discomfort when you hold two conflicting beliefs or when your actions don't agree with your beliefs. As an example, you believe that smoking is bad for your health, yet you continue to smoke. You believe that extramarital affairs are morally wrong, and yet you continue to be involved with someone on the side. You believe that you should be a more patient mother, yet you continue to yell at your children. The law says that when your beliefs and actions are incompatible, you will attempt to reduce the resulting discomfort by changing either your actions or your beliefs. The law of dissonance is sometimes called the law of self-delusion, the law of experience. It says that new information entering your mind destroys previous information of a similar nature. Once a pathway of information has been established in your brain, that viewpoint will prevail unless new information comes in to destroy and replace it. As an example, while horseback riding, you fall off and hurt yourself. Now, if that's the end of your experience with horses, your experience has been programmed negatively. That's why instructors always urge new riders to climb back aboard immediately after falling off. You need fresh, new input to erase the trauma of the fall. The law is an innate, organic process that does not require your conscious attention or active participation. It suggests that the basic processes of the brain are in an endless state of growth and reorganization. Now, the law of experience can be used effectively in altered state of consciousness programming because your subconscious cannot tell the difference between fantasized experience and a real experience. So, as an example, if you always feel extreme anxiety in crowds, in an altered state, you could vividly imagine yourself perfectly relaxed in a crowd of people. Your mind will accept this as a reality and invoke the law of experience. After a few days, weeks, or months of this programming, your mind will have totally experienced being calm in crowds, and it will carry over into your personal reality. The law of fearful confrontation. This law says that if you fear doing something and yet have the courage to do it anyway, you will soon do a mental flip-flop and may even become addicted to doing it. As an example, if you fear skydiving but force yourself to do it, the experience generates the internal release of beta endorphins. These internally manufactured opiates chemically resemble opium and are quite addicting. The more you skydive, the more you will want to skydive, or ski straight down mountains, or gamble, or whatever it was that you originally feared and that still causes you this internal rush. The law of denial. It says when you refuse to deal with a highly emotional issue or refuse to take responsibility for an unpleasant situation, you avoid living up to your potential. Such things can be put off for lifetimes, but the effect will be experienced mentally, physically, or as a lifestyle manifestation until you correctly balance the situation. The law of new beginnings. It says that for each of us in our time, there are major life turning points. There is a break in the energy wave patterns and a complete change will result. Everything is affected by this change in flux, some things to a lesser degree than others. Examples would be 1. A traumatic situation or tragedy such as the death of a loved one. 2. A religious conversion. 3. A point of therapy when something clicks and from that time on the patient begins to get well. And 4. A mother giving birth to a baby. The law of harmony. This law supersedes even the fundamental law of karma, for harmony is a supreme potential of balance. The purpose of karma is to attain harmony. If you throw a rock into a pond, you disturb the harmony of the pond. You are the cause, and the effect is the splash and the ripples that flow out and back until the harmony is restored. Now similarly, your disharmonious karmic actions flow out into the universe and back upon you, lifetime after lifetime, until eventually your own harmony is restored. So, as you experience your life, you and the entire universe are experiencing the karmic ripples which will eventually result in harmony. Once you have evolved to the position of living an entire lifetime in harmony, you are free from the wheel of reincarnation. The law of reincarnation and karma. Until you have resolved your karma and fulfilled your dharma, you will continue to reincarnate into sequential lifetimes upon the earth. Neither God nor the lords of karma bestow suffering upon you during these lives. For each life experience, you seek out other souls, often with shared histories, and always with karmic configurations matching your needs. Now, whenever you act with intention, you create karma. Actions are considered to be thoughts, emotions, words, and deeds, and the motive, intent, and desire behind each. Disharmonious acts must be balanced in the future in this life or in a future lifetime. They are rooted in fear-based emotions, which must be resolved before you can release yourself from the wheel of reincarnation. You return, lifetime after lifetime, to test yourself, to see if you have learned your lessons. Now, until you can go through an entire lifetime with total involvement and no disharmonious attachment whatsoever, you will continue to reincarnate. In other words, when you can live a life of perfect harmony, liberation will follow. The law of wisdom. Wisdom erases karma. If you have the wisdom to learn your lessons through love and wisdom, you can mitigate your suffering. Sadly, though, we seem to learn fastest through pain, through directly experiencing the consequences of our actions. As an example,
E timpul pentru Sky Showtime, un serviciu de streaming nou de la studiouri de renume mondial. E timpul pentru Sky Showtime. Abonează-te și primește jumătate de preț pe viață.
you greedily take from others, and instead of learning through wisdom and love that this is wrong, you have to directly experience someone greedily taking from you, whether later in this life or in a future lifetime. As another way to look at the law of wisdom, when you move toward a predestined test in your life, if you have the wisdom to proceed with harmony, you will surely mitigate the traumatic impact of the event. The law of grace. Karma can be experienced to the letter of the law, or in mercy and grace. In other words, if you give love, mercy, and grace to others, you will receive the same in return. The law of soul evolution. Everyone on earth shares the goal of soul evolution, whether they realize it or not. We have reincarnated because we desire to spiritually evolve by rising above our fear-based emotions and learning to express unconditional love. In so doing, we raise our vibrational rate and move closer to a state of harmony. Even when it appears that you are not evolving, you are in reality making progress. We learn through the pain of our disharmonious acts, which can be viewed as our mistakes or failures. But if you fell off a bicycle 9 times before you learned to ride it on the 10th attempt, you needed 9 failures to achieve your final success. In reality, every failure was a small success, bringing you closer to accomplishing your goal. The law of vibrational attainment. The entire universe operates on the same principle of vibrational energy. When Einstein discovered that matter is energy, he opened the door to merging science and metaphysics. The scientists have proven that energy cannot die. It can only transform. And, by its very nature, energy must move forward or backward, stand still. For to do so is stagnation, resulting in transformation. Now you are energy. Your skin, which appears solid, is actually trillions of swiftly moving molecules orbiting each other at a specific vibrational rate, a physical life rate that you earned in the past as a result of how harmoniously or disharmoniously you've lived your past lives and your current life up until this very moment in time. The law of free will. The law of free will operates in 3 ways. Number 1, although many of the major events in your life are astrologically predestined, you always have free will to mitigate the impact of the event or to transcend it entirely. This will result from how you live your life up to the situation you have destined for yourself to experience. If you give grace and mercy to others, are positive, loving, and compassionate, and demonstrate by your actions that you've learned past lessons, you can minimize disharmonious experiences. Number 2, as you obtain Master of Life awareness and develop conscious detachment, you will be far less affected by worldly events than in the past. A Master of Life enjoys all the warmth and joy that life has to offer, but detaches from the negativity by allowing it to flow through him without affecting him. Number 3, you always have free will in how you respond to any situation. If you respond with positive emotions, compassion, and integrity, you have probably learned your karmic lessons and will not have to experience a similar situation in the future. The law of one. Every soul, living and discarnate, is connected at the level of the collective unconscious, deep within the higher self. We are all part of a great energy gestalt called God, and because we are part of God, we are God. It is the goal of the gestalt to move the energy forward, creating more energy. So, in living harmoniously, we each increase our vibrational rate and intensify the vibration of the entire gestalt. And when we are disharmonious, we decrease the vibration of the entire gestalt. Because we are one, everything you think, say, and do, and the motive, intent, and desire behind everything you think, say, and do affects every other soul. The law of manifestation. Everything manifest begins as a thought, an idea. Ideas and experiences create beliefs, which in turn create your reality. If you are unhappy with your current reality, you must change your beliefs and your behavior. Beliefs can be changed when you recognize those that are not working for you and begin programming what will create success and harmony in your life. The unlimited creative power of your mind, through dedication, awareness, and training, can be the wisdom to rise above your karma. Within physical laws, you can manifest any reality you desire to experience. In regard to changing your behavior, you must decide which disharmonious behaviors you want to eliminate. Then, be aware that you don't have to change how you feel about something to affect it, if you are willing to change what you are doing. The law of conscious detachment. His earthly teachings are best summarized with one of his statements. It is your resistance to what is that causes your suffering. And by suffering, he meant everything that doesn't work in your life. relationship problems, loss of loved ones, loneliness, sickness, accidents, guilt, monetary hardship, unfulfilled desires, and so on. When you accept what is, you accept the unalterable realities in your life without resisting them. Some things are facts. They exist. And no matter how much you resist, there is nothing you are going to be able to do about them. Change what you can change, but have the wisdom to accept unalterable situations as they are, without wasting mental or physical energy attempting to change what you cannot change. Out of this acceptance comes involved detachment, the ability to enjoy all the positive aspects of life, but to allow the negativity to flow through you without resistance and without affecting you. The law of gratitude. From the perspective of karma and the law of one, the more you give, the more you will receive. The more you assist others, the more you assist yourself. The power of this law also works in your day-to-day life. The law of resistance. That which you resist, you draw to you, and you will perpetuate its influence upon your life. Resistance is fear. The law of resistance assures that you let go of the fear by encountering it until you are forced to deal with it by learning conscious detachment. By changing your perspective, you can usually eliminate the effects of a problem. And if you're no longer affected by a problem, you no longer have a problem, although nothing about the problem situation may have changed. Now, another aspect of the law of resistance states, that which you resist, you become, if not in this lifetime, in a future incarnation. The law of attraction. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. You attract what you are and that which you concentrate upon. If you are negative, you draw in and experience negativity. If you are loving, you draw in and experience love. You can only attract to you those qualities you possess. So, if you want peace and harmony in your life, you must become peaceful and harmonious. The law of reflection. This law says that the traits you respond to in others, you recognize in yourself, both positive and negative. It has 4 primary manifestations. Number 1, that which you admire in others, you recognize as existing within yourself. Number 2, that which you resist in others and react to strongly in others is surely to be found within yourself. Number 3, that and react to in others is something which you are afraid exists within you. And number 4, that which you resist in yourself, you will dislike in others. In other words, you have chosen to incarnate upon the manifest plane to learn to rise above the effects of fear. Those fears will always be reflected in your reactions to others. Thus, your goals are very obvious once you recognize how to perceive them. As you let go of the fear, you automatically open to expressing more unconditional love. The law of unconditional love. The expression of unconditional love will eventually result in harmony. Unconditional love is not romantic love. It's the acceptance of others as they are without judgment or expectations. The law of unconditional love says, if you go out of your way to express unconditional love, you automatically rise above fear. And as you transcend your fears, you automatically open to the expression of unconditional love. The law of magnetic affinity. By astrologically choosing the time and place of your birth, you determine the nature of the effects you will experience in your life. On the other side, before you were born, you made decisions about the lifetime you would be entering into. You chose your parents, other souls to interact with you, and the astrological configurations of your birth, which determine your character, personality, abilities, restrictions, and timing for strengths and weaknesses. If all of this seems too complicated to be real, be aware that you are only using 5 to 10% of the capacity of your brain. And the brain-mind researchers say the human brain has 200,000 times the capacity of the greatest computer ever built. Such calculations, as I've just described, would be no problem for such a computer. The law of abundance. You have within yourself everything required to make your earthly incarnation a paradise if you choose to accept that which is your natural birthright. We live in a universe of abundance, although the majority of those populating our planet appear to view it as a universe of scarcity. The law of attitude. Nothing in the universe can harm you but your own attitude. It is your attitude that moves you toward events and experiences, and it's your attitude that will worsen or lighten any event, catastrophe, or tragedy. You and you alone choose the attitude with which you will respond. No two people would respond to the same situation in the same way. Every earthly incarnation includes traumatic experiences, and the better you understand the working of karma, the more likely you will be to put events into a spiritual perspective. The law of commitment. When you become clear on your intent, making a decision and obligating yourself to a task or a belief, everything begins to fall into place if your direction is in harmony with the universe as it relates to your purpose. Now, once you have pledged this direction, things begin to happen almost magically. The key to this ultimate power is to have no indecisiveness at all. And the greater your emotional desire, the more power you will give to those on the other side who can assist you, and the more rapidly the manifestation. The law of compensation. It says that you and you alone are responsible for everything that happens to you. All is the result of your past thoughts, words, and deeds, which have formed your present attitude. Your attitude towards life and life experiences is returned to you in the form of rewards or problems, as love and joy, or as confusion, trouble, and heartbreaking experience. These karmic rewards or punishments can be delivered immediately, at a later date in your present life, or in a future incarnation. The law of environmental manifestation. It says that everything that surrounds you is an extension of you. Your mate, your home, your furnishings, your car, your pets, your yard, your office are a physical expression of your attitudes and belief system. Your environment is a reality picture of your core beliefs and expresses your self-image and cultural overview. The law of restriction. It says that man cannot create anything higher than his own level of understanding. Thus, society can never get any better than the level of mankind as a whole. Our systems for social change usually only add new burdens to already ineffective systems. Time has proven that this approach to a new society doesn't work. And our mistake is in trying to right the wrongs of the world from the outside in. This is working on the effect instead of the cause, and is doomed to failure. Instead, we must work from the inside out. Every one of us on this planet can incorporate the power of harmonious thinking, which is the only long-term solution to poverty and limitation. To heal the world, we must each first heal ourselves.
Aliveness inside you, does it hate anyone? Or is hatred a thought that your aliveness can see? What is spirituality? Have a think. Everyone talks about it, Any ideas? What is spirituality? First thing that pops into your head.
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness, good. Connection. What was the word that we heard? Calmness. Feelings. Cultivation of the heart, like that. Truth. Meditation, okay. So these are the kinds of things that we hear about, yeah? I call these buzzwords. Yep. Mindfulness, meditation, spiritual path, going on a journey. You guys hear about these things? Chakras, third eye, yoga, all these sorts of things, yeah? Energy. We talked about energy, didn't we? Okay? What do all of these things mean? I'll tell you what all of these things mean. The reason that everyone's talking about it, it means that people are starting to ask a lot more questions these days. People are looking. People are searching. People want to know what the answers are. And the reason people are looking is because people are not happy with the way life is at the moment. Everyone knows intrinsically there's got to be something more. There's got to be more to life. So, I want to share with you my own journey. When I was a little boy, my parents always wanted me to be a dentist. I grew up my whole life. Everyone said to me, what are you going to be? I'm going to be a dentist. I don't know why, but I'm going to be a dentist. Apparently that's a good thing to be. I'm not a dentist. But I went throughout my education with that in mind. It all came crashing down when I failed all of my A-levels. I'm like, you're not going to be a dentist with these A-levels, right? Then went into university. This was around the time, sort of 99, 2000. The big thing was IT, computers. The kind of things that people were saying to me was, you get a degree in computer science, guaranteed job for life, guaranteed. So I did that. I was like, yeah, sounds good. And I quite liked the whole computers thing. I love being in front of a screen. I liked the technology. It was good. So I went to school, got my degree, and something strange happened after my degree. Within a month of graduating, I got a job. That doesn't sound so strange, but I'll tell you why it's strange. I'll tell you why it's strange. I got a job even though not a single person told me, go get a job. Not my mom, not my dad, not my sister. Nobody actually said to me, you graduated, now go look for a job. Nobody said it. But straight away, I knew I've graduated, I've got to get a job. Why was that? Because I went my whole life planning for the next thing. Think about what you do in school. When you're in school, you know that the next exam is the most important thing, the end of year exams. And then you get your GCSEs, you're working towards something. And the reason you do your GCSEs and get good grades is so that you can sit the A-levels that you want to sit. I don't know if they still do A-levels? It is, it keeps changing, I don't know anymore, right? And then you do the A-levels, but there's only one reason why I did the A-levels, to get into the university. And there's only one reason why I did the whole university thing, because somebody said to me, job for life. Guaranteed good income. So straight away I went into the job. Within a month of graduating, I was sitting behind an IT desk. Had a job. Within 6 months of graduating and getting that IT job, I was married. Within a week of getting married, we moved into our first house. Nobody had told me to do any of these things. Every single step had already been somehow mapped into my brain. I don't know why, but I had a job and I was like, time to get married, got married. By the way, I married a dentist. So it's kind of like, I got what I wanted to in the end. Completely true story. And then I got a couple of years into our marriage. What comes next? Children. And that's where it hit me. At that point, something hit me, because you know what? I didn't know what the next step was. For the first time in my life, I didn't know what the next thing was. I was like, you got a job, I got a house, got a wife, got 2 kids. And then I was like, oh, what's the next one? You know what the next one I could think of? Retirement. That was the only thing I could think of. Right? So I was like, oh, I'm just supposed to do this now for the next... I lived the first 30 years of my life chasing something, trying to get somewhere, trying to move towards one goal or the other. And when I'd got all of the goals, I was stuck. And the only thing I could do is then figure out, oh, none of those things brought me the happiness that I thought they would bring me. Because why do you have an education? To get a good job. Because you get a good job, you're going to get good money. I had the good money. I bought a house. And we had a very comfortable life. Driving nice cars, and we had everything. Perfect life, going on lots of holidays. I had the kids. Like, why did I get married? Think about it for a moment. I had a great job. There was something inside me said, yeah, but I want to share my life with someone. I want to do something with it. Yeah? I want to be with someone. So I'm buying my happiness. I'm just accumulating the next happiness. And what happens is the next happiness comes, it gives you happiness, and then it fades after a while. And so, after getting the really good job and getting good money, I was like, let's get married. I got married, got a house. Yeah, we'll be happy. I don't live with my parents. I don't live in my own house. Got into our own house. We're like, oh, this house stuff is quite hard. You've got to do everything, right? And then that didn't give me the happiness. And then we were married. And sure, that was great happiness for a long time. But after a while, it was like, okay, this is normal. Let's have some kids. Have your first kid. And I thought, I was much happier without the kids. Right? So every time you get a bit of happiness, the next one you think, yeah, I'm going to get the next one. That's going to give me more happiness. But then it doesn't. And so guess what? We said, let's have another kid. 2 kids surely is better than 1 kid, right? Wrong. And then you have the second kid, and you're like, what have we done? We were so much happier with just 1 kid. So I reached a point in my life where I was like, okay, this happiness thing hasn't really happened. I wasn't miserable. I certainly wasn't depressed or anything like that. But there was something that was just so unfulfilling about all of that stuff. And then I realized, okay, now I've got to go find some happiness. And guess what? I can't just go and buy something else. I can't accumulate another piece of happiness. I've got to go on a different journey. I've got to look somewhere else. And this is where I think a lot of the world is. This is why I think we're getting a lot of these kind of conversations now. We've reached a point in life now where you can actually comfortably go to any colleagues at work and start talking to them about meditation and mindfulness. They'll say, oh, yeah, I do that. I do that meditation, mindfulness stuff, yeah. Yeah? Almost anyone you can talk to these days, oh, I've heard about meditation, I should really try that. Yeah? The question I always get, oh, do you do yoga as well? Always. I'm like, no, there are many different types. People are so much more accepting of it now. The world has changed. Try and have a conversation with your colleagues at work about God. You didn't just start a conversation about God, did you? Come on. Keep that stuff to yourself. Yeah? I say, God is almost the biggest swear word these days. You can't actually go up to someone and say, hi, I'd like to talk to you about God. They're like, what? Get lost. People think you're crazy. The world has changed. But say, hey, would you like to try some meditation, mindfulness? Oh, it sounds good. The world's changing. And everyone is looking for something, but they don't want to be preached to. They don't want to be judged. They don't want to feel like you're drilling some philosophy down their neck, some ideology. So, if the whole world is looking for answers, if the whole world is now searching, the question now is, where do you find the answers? Where do you go? Everyone's looking, where do you go? Well, I think there are a lot of options these days. There are a lot of options. The number one option tends to be Buddhism. Everyone says, I like that Buddhism. I don't like the other religions, but I like that Buddhism one. They seem to have it right. There's always like very happy. All the pictures of the Buddhists are they're smiling. I'll tell you why they're smiling. They're not married. They haven't got any kids. It's true. This is my honest reaction to sometimes I see on the news and stuff like that. This Buddhist monk is the happiest man in the world. And scientists have measured these people. Like, I've checked his brain. This guy's the happiest guy in the world. And I look at it, I'm like, but he's not married. Put him in a house, in a job, with a wife, with some kids, then tell me how happy you are. Don't tell me about your happiness when you're sitting in a cave somewhere. Yeah? Because that's not my happiness. How are you going to share happiness with me? And this is not a criticism of any other tradition. But let's just look at what is being offered to us right now. So Buddhism's the number one thing. Everyone's like, I like that Buddhist stuff. It doesn't seem to be too intrusive. I can do it in my own time. I don't like the Sikh stuff. There's the hair. There's the whole turban thing. Too much. Right? I don't want it. It seems like too imposing in my life. Give me something simpler. That's why I can do meditation. I just go to a meditation class once a week. Happy. What are your other options? Yoga, of course. Mindfulness retreats. Those are plenty. Yeah? There's no criticism here. Let's talk about what's available to us. Meditation apps. How many of you have tried meditation apps? Have you downloaded any? Have you heard of Headspace? Who's heard of Headspace? Who hasn't heard of Headspace? Oh, you got to try Headspace. It's really interesting. So, this British guy becomes a Buddhist monk, goes and learns all the practices and all that sort of stuff, comes back, realizes the whole world needs this meditation stuff. He develops an app called Headspace. He's a billionaire now. And he's created this, and it's actually really good. You can just listen to meditations, and anytime you feel a bit stressed, it's like breathe in, breathe out, the graphics are really nice, all that sort of stuff. You can now download spirituality onto your iPhone. It's available to you. Maybe you don't have to go to any of these spiritual temples and all these kind of things and initiate in a whole religion anymore. I just say, no, there's an app for that now. I don't need anything else. Lifestyle coaches. Ever heard of some of these guys? Deepak Chopra, Tony Robbins, Eckhart Tolle. Yeah, great guys. Amazing stuff that they deliver. But look at the options. We have a lot of options. And then you've got the other scientists who are saying, well, actually, it's all about science. Science will give you all the answers. And some people are saying all of this mumbo jumbo is fine, but actually in science, and now science is going into like quantum physics and all these kind of things, saying actually we're discovering the truth of reality. And so what it means is that everyone is actually looking for a truth. Everyone wants to know what's real. Just give me what is real so that I can know what my life is supposed to be about. So who are you going to go to on your spiritual journey? It's a question you have to ask yourself. And I think it goes back to the cake analogy. You're going to go to someone who you trust, someone who you think has got it figured out. You're going to follow a recipe from someone who's done it before. So who do you trust? Who can you trust? Who do you see as having the most positive impact on people? Now we're talking about how do you decide which spiritual path to follow, because there's so many. One way is maybe you look at who has had the most impact on people. Who's had the most positive impact on people? Who's been doing this stuff for thousands of years? Maybe that's one way of looking at it, compared to some of the very new age spirituality that's coming around. Who treats the symptoms and who goes to the root cause of the issue? Maybe that's another way of deciding which spiritual path you're going to go on. Who actually deals with the real root of the issues and who's just making you feel a little bit nice? So this is the beginning of your spiritual journey. And if we look at a spiritual journey, I think it's about finding meaning amongst the mundane. Mundane being the everyday life. We're all living our everyday lives, but all of us are looking for some meaning. We're looking for something that actually feels, yes, this is it. This is the stuff that makes sense. This is where I find my purpose in life. This is where I discover what I'm about. What does it mean to be me? I explain to my children that what I'm teaching is to make your smile bigger. That's all we're trying to do in life. Just make our smile a little bit bigger. And we keep it there. So who is going to help you make your smile bigger? How are you going to do it? How are you going to find a way in life that you say, yes, this is what my life is all about? And I think you're going to do it in one way. You're going to ask yourself a very important question. Who is the one going on the journey? Who am I? And this is a very important question. Every spiritual journey has come down to this question. Who are you? Not what you're looking for. Who are you? And this question has been asked by every spiritual seeker because they identify that there's a void inside them. There's something inside them. They say, there's something uneasy inside. There's something empty inside me. I feel empty. I feel lost. Nothing seems to give me happiness. So you've got to go and look at what that is. What am I? What is this body? Why do I think the way I think? Why do I act the way I act? What is me? Who are you? So this is where I want you to start answering questions on page 6 to 8. You've got about 15 minutes. Do you remember that point where I said that I'm going to be listening to you more than you're going to be listening to me? Well, we've reached that point now. So, I need a couple of brave volunteers to answer something about themselves. So, a lot of you guys I've never met before. So, I want to ask you a question. Let's pretend you and me are in a spiritual conference? No, let's pretend we're in a business conference. Right? And I come up to you and I ask you a simple question. Hi, my name is Satpal Singh. Who are you? What would you say? Who are you? It's not a trick question, by the way. It's a genuine question. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Rani.
Rani. Nice to meet you, Rani. Who are you? Don't know. It's not a trick question, seriously. Tell me something more about yourself, Rani.
I'm 41 years old. I'm a teacher. Work
Okay.
in primary schools.
Excellent. Tell me something more. Who are you?
I don't actually know. And that's why I'm here.
Well, like I said, this isn't a trick question. Tell me something more about yourself.
I like travelling the world.
Okay.
I like meeting new people. I have 2 children.
Excellent. Thank you. Anyone else? See, it's not difficult. Rani just did it. Tell me something about yourself.
My number, I'm a counselor with mental health issues, and I'm a business.
And a business owner. Excellent. Thank you. See, it's not a difficult question. Anyone else? Tell me something. You've written a lot of stuff down. Tell me some things about you. What else? Who else would like to talk to me? Talk to me. Have you found that spiritual teachings are great to learn, but not always easy to apply to your own life? Sometimes we all need a bit of support and guidance from people who know what we're going through and can help us find some answers. The Nanak Naam Facebook group helps you do just that. It's an online community where you can ask any questions about life and get answers from other members of the group. Search for Nanak Naam Community Support and join our free Facebook group today.
I'm called Linda. I'm from Basingstoke in Hampshire. I'm married. I have no kids. I'm 47 years old and run a dental practice.
Excellent. Excellent. We shall be in touch. I need to find a good dentist. I tell you why. What my wife does when I'm in that dental chair is she is brutal. I always think, like, do you treat the rest of your patients like this? And I feel that there's like a little bit of her going, right, now I've got you. And so she doesn't like warn me about the pain. So she'll just be like, oh, now I'm just going to clean around the back of the teeth. And then it's like, I'm sitting there going, why grow? Right? And I know she doesn't do that to everyone else. I think I need a new dentist. I'll come to you. So, this really wasn't a trick question. It's not a trick exercise. I want you to tell me what it is that you know about yourself. And what tends to happen is, in order for you to start to go on a spiritual journey, a journey of self-discovery, the first thing we have to do is say, well, what do we actually know about ourselves? Like, what do we mean, like, I need to find myself? Have you ever heard that? Like, I need to find myself? If you ever went to your parents and said, Mom, Dad, I'm going to go to Cambodia, I'm going to sit in a mountain somewhere, I'm going to try and find myself, they'll give you a slap. They'll say, I'll tell you where you are. You're right here. Right? Our parents come from a different generation. like they don't need to find themselves. We need to find ourselves. Right? So, in order to understand who you are, first we need to understand what is it that we know about ourselves. What are the realities that we've created about ourselves? And more often than not, what you tend to know about yourself is actually extremely superficial. Everyone in this room would like to think, actually, I know myself. Like, I know a lot about myself. I know who I am. But I'm willing to bet that you don't actually know who you are. The first session, we talked about delusions and what delusions we were going to cover. In the first session, we talked about delusions of God. Like, let's talk about this God thing. In this session, I want to unpack delusions that you have about yourself. And let's see how much you really know about yourself. So, when we try and answer who we are, what we deliver to the rest of the world is a false sense of identities. So, if I ask you who you are, this is the kind of stuff that you're going to tell me. The first thing you're going to tell me is your name. Yeah? We had Rani, we had Amrit, right? The first thing we do is like, this is who I am. I'm going to identify myself. It's like my identity number. Yeah? 6143917. That's who I am. I need you to first know my identification. I'm going to give you my name. Sometimes you might give someone your gender. Most often than not, it's obvious, so you don't need to say it. But you might dress a certain way to make sure that you're clearly identified with that gender. Yeah? You don't want to dress in a way that people don't know what gender you are. So your gender is a part of who you identify with. Then you start telling me about your families. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I have kids, I don't have kids, I'm all of these sorts of things. You might tell me about your religion. So I'm a Sikh. Maybe you introduce people as I'm a Sikh. Sometimes you don't need to, it's staring you in the face. Say, yeah, I know that, I got that, thank you. Right? Then you start telling me about what you do. I do this and I do that. I'm a dental nurse, dental assistant. I work in accountancy. I'm a teacher. I'm a this, I'm a that. Yeah? If I dig a little deeper, I'll start asking you about what you like and what you don't like. Yeah? If I start going a little bit further, then you might start saying, I'm a Man United supporter. I'm a Liverpool... No. Liverpool? No? Chelsea? Who do you support? Man United, okay. And you? Liverpool, of course. Arch rivals. Yeah? So, once you start giving me your identities, then you start saying things like, oh, I'm a vegan, I'm a this, I'm a that. I never used to be this, but I'm now that. I support this and I don't support that. Your likes and your dislikes, that's the kind of stuff that you start telling me about. Yeah? Sometimes people get really clever and they say, I'm a human being, by the way. You know? I'm like, duh. Right? Then people get really spiritual. They say, oh, I don't know who I am. I'm finding myself. I'm a soul. I'm a free spirit. I'm a collection of thoughts. Have you ever heard this one? I never remember it. I'm not a spiritual being having a physical experience. What is it? How does it go? I'm a physical being? No, it's the other way, right? I'm not a physical being having a spiritual experience. I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience. Yeah, that always does my head in. Right? I'm like, what? I'm completely confused. So people start talking about all these things. How many of you start saying, oh, I'm a soul, I'm a spirit? How many of you have a soul? Put your hands up. How many of you have a soul? Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Yep. How many of you have seen your soul? But you're all convinced you have one. Yeah? Never seen it, but I have it. Yeah? Keep it in my back pocket. Right? Well, we all have a soul. None of us know what we're talking about. We just keep waffling on based on what other people will accept. Yeah? And the kinds of conversations we have is different. Yeah? In a spiritual meeting, you can quite comfortably say to me, I don't know who I am. And I say, oh, I get it. I understand. No problem. You can't say that in a business meeting. Someone says, hi, who are you? So, I don't know who I am. Yes, I think you're in the wrong place, mate. Do you know what I mean? Right? So the kind of answers that we give is dependent on who we think will receive the answer properly. Yeah? So, what exactly is going on? Is this who you are? I'm willing to offer a solution. I'm going to propose to you that you are none of these things. The reason I'm going to propose to you that you are none of these things is because I'm going to ask you, how many of these things did you pick? Let's go through the list. How many of you picked your name? Some people get a chance to do it in a spiritual tradition. If they initiate into spiritual tradition, then they get given a new name, not necessarily pick their own name. How many of you picked your name? Who picked your name for you? Parents, grandparents, that sort of stuff. Okay? So, is it you? It is how you are identified, but is it you? Or is it how other people chose to identify you? Maybe if you had a choice, you'd pick something else. Maybe that's not the name you want in life. How many of you picked your gender? How many of you chose, I'm going to be a boy, I'm going to be a girl? It was chosen for you, right? So, I am a man, I am a woman. Well, are you? Or is it just something that's happened to you? How many of you pick your family? How many of you picked your parents? How many of you would like to pick again? How many of you picked your community, your ethnicity? How many of you picked your religion? Very few. Yeah? Then you walk around saying, I am a Sikh. Are you? Or was that done to you? Let's move on. How many of you pick what you like and what you dislike? Let's go back to the football teams. Right. Man United? Why do you support Man United? Huh? Because they're great? Okay. But you picked Man United. Liverpool. How many of you support Liverpool? Anyone else? Why do you support Liverpool? Say again? 2 of you. Why do you support Liverpool?
Won it 5 times.
We won it 5 times? At what point did you pick Liverpool? Tell me.
Primary school.
Primary school. Did anyone influence you? Was there anyone in your family that was already a Liverpool supporter?
No.
No. You picked it yourself.
Friends.
Your friends were Liverpool supporters. I'll tell you a funny story, right? My youngest son goes to primary school. 2 brothers. The oldest brother comes home one day and he says to me, Dad, what football team do we support? And I've never been into football much, so I was like, son, I don't really support a football team. So I don't really have an answer to give you. My youngest one, only about 4 at the time, he says, Dad, if you were to pick a football team, which one would you pick? I said, I don't know. because I don't know anything about football. He said, how would you pick it? He says to me, how would you pick if you were to pick one right now? Oh, that's an interesting question. I said, son, what I would do is I would go and look at the league tables for like the last 10 years, and the ones who've won the most, that's why I'm coming to you guys, the ones who've won the most, I'd probably just go with them. They said, wicked, Dad, let's do that. So we went. We looked at all the league tables, at least for the last 10 years. Man United came out on top. We're like, son, I think I would pick Man United. Done. We all picked Man United. This is why I asked the question about Liverpool, because I went to all of my friends then, right? Guys my age, dads my age, and I had this conversation with them saying, yeah, I think we've picked a team. We're going to go with Man United. There seems to be this thing about Liverpool. All the things were like, no, you can't do that. You got to stick with Liverpool. And me and my son were like scratching our heads, being like, why do they support Liverpool? They're rubbish. They haven't won anything in a really long time. I don't understand. And then as I'm asking all of my friends, it turns out in the 80s they were quite good. When they were all young boys, the team was winning quite a lot. And all their brothers and uncles and friends and them lot were saying, yep, Liverpool's the team to stick with, and that's stuck with them now. So they're passing it on to their kids, and we're just like, why would I pick a losing team? Makes no sense. So we're all Man United supporters right now. I don't know what that means, right? We watch nothing, we follow nothing, but if somebody asks, we say, yep, we support Man United. My sons have even got the kit now. They know nothing about football. And let's keep it that way. So this is how this stuff works. All right, let's go back to the next one. Occupation. How many of you chose your occupation independently? How many of you are in medicine? Put your hands up. In some sort of medical field? Yes? How many of you were influenced to make that decision? Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Just like I wanted to be a dentist. Right? Like what sane 12-year-old wants to be a dentist? Like, of all the cool jobs in the world, that's not the one you're going to pick. Right? Why did I want to be a dentist? Because my parents just put that idea in me, like, son, that's the one you're going to go for. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, Dad. So, can you honestly say that the things that you identify with are genuinely yours, independently, uniquely yours? Even your thoughts aren't yours. Perfect example. Our generation can't stand how little care our parents give towards recycling. True or not? Our parents couldn't care less about recycling. And they just chucking stuff on all over the place, like, what are you talking about? Just put it in the bin. It's rubbish, put it in the bin. And we're like, no, but Dad, the papers go here, and the plastics go here, and the food waste go there. What's the difference? Why does, as one generation, we care a lot about it? I tell you why we all care about it, because when I went to school, there was the whole thing called Save the Planet. Do you remember that whole phrase? We need to save the planet. So in the 80s and the 90s, I grew up thinking, damn, there's something wrong with the planet. We need to save the planet. And now we grow up and we're a lot more conscious and aware. Did they grow up with that kind of messaging, that kind of information? So they're like, what are you talking about? Planet's been here for a long time. I'm sure it's all right. So even our thoughts are not necessarily our thoughts. There's some things that have been programmed into us. We've been conditioned by them. So now we'll very comfortably have an argument with someone because my thought is clearly the right one. And your thought is clearly the wrong one. I'm right, you're wrong. So we start getting into debates and arguments with people about a thought, which if you think about it, probably isn't yours to begin with. So you're fighting to hold on to something that was not genuinely yours. You didn't come up with it. Some of them are yours, I'm not saying everything. But in reality, which of these things can you honestly say are yours? So this is how we build an understanding of who we are. I like to talk about the human being as a house. What do you need to build a house? What do you start with? A strong foundation. Without a strong foundation, the whole house is going to fall down. What is your strong foundation? Imagine a house is made of lots of different bricks. And what you do when you're about to build a house is you put the important bricks first, the stuff that cannot move. That's the foundation of who you are. And we do the same thing. The very first brick that we place in the house and the mansion of the self is the name. That's who I am. The very first thing you get given as a child is a name. Nobody calls you baby for the rest of your life. You get given a name so that we can identify which baby are you talking about. And that's the first brick. This is who I am. And from there we start building more and more and more. And the foundation are bricks that are laid that cannot be changed. Most of us don't change our names. Most of us don't change our gender. Most of us. These days everything's possible. But you get your name. The next brick that you put down is I'm a man. I'm a woman. That's fixed. The next brick you put down is I belong to this family. I'm never going to be able to change this family. I'm never going to change these parents. That's just who they are. So that's my other thing. I belong to this family. This is who I am. Then we start building a little bit more and more. We start building our foundation of who we are. So then we start looking at things like, this is my occupation. When you were young, you weren't always an accountant, a lawyer, a dentist. You weren't a teacher. You weren't all these things. What did you used to say then? I'm a student. That was your occupation. That was who you were. So you've got your foundation bricks, and then you've got bricks that can change. So the student brick, you carried that for a really long time. But after a while, you let go of that brick. You say, I'm no longer a student. I give up this brick. Now I'm going to take on a new one. Now I am my profession. This is who I am now. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. I'm a dentist. I'm a teacher. I'm an accountant. And once you start building this house around you, then you start putting more temporary things like your thoughts, your likes, your dislikes. You start putting things like the things that other people influenced you for. So, you are a Chelsea supporter, a Man United supporter, a Liverpool supporter. Where did that come from? So we start borrowing bricks from other people. Someone say, you're one of those? Oh, okay, I'll do that as well. You're a vegan? That sounds good, I'll do that as well. You're a this, you're a that, I'll start doing all those things. And very quickly you start building a mansion. Thoughts, ideas, opinions. Opinions is a brick that you can change. Because sometimes you had an idea. But if somebody comes along with a better one, you give up the old one and you say, oh, okay, I get it. I don't hold this idea anymore. I hold another one. But that's still part of your identity. So who you are is just a list of all of these bricks. And you hold on to every single one of them. And when somebody comes to say, who are you? You show them all your bricks and say, this is who I am. This is my identity. And when I ask you who you are, you start from the foundation. Oh, I'm this guy, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm this person, I'm that person. I give you my name, then I give you my occupation, then I give you this, then I give you my likes and my dislikes, then I give you my thoughts and my ideas. You start moving up the mansion. And what I'm here to say to you is none of those things are yours.